Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad you're joining our show again this week. We're always happy for people like you, people that are really interested in what's happening in our cities. Because it is important for good government that there be an interchange of ideas between the city council, the mayors, the staff, and the residents of the city. So we're glad that you're updating yourself on what's happening in one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area. Each week we'll have someone on from the city to kind of update us on what's been happening and what's going to be happening in the future. And we encourage you, if it's your city, take down their phone and email information, and if a subject comes up that really is of interest to you, be in contact. Now tonight we're very happy to welcome Mayor Shep Harris, an ongoing guest that we've got, right?
That's right.
Now I want to have you introduce yourself to our wider audience. Golden Valley's going to know you, but other cities might not. Tell them a little bit about yourself and your time in Golden Valley.
All right, thank you. Well, as Juanita said, my name is Shep Harris, and I'm the mayor of Golden Valley. And I've lived in the city with my family for the past 13 years. And speaking of family, so my wife, 3 children, and in fact my oldest is finishing up her freshman year at Armstrong High School tomorrow, right? And my 2 boys are at the Highlander Minneapolis Jewish Day School in St. Louis Park, and when they're through 8th grade, then they'll go to Armstrong High School. So we're a Robbinsdale School District family.
Right.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, very good.
And just very involved in the community in a number of activities. Some of it's because of the kids, some of it's because of being mayor. But on any given day, I could be at a Twin West Chamber event. I could be at a Golden Valley Rotary lunch. I could be, I'm a member of the League of Women Voters and the Golden Valley Historical Society. So lots of activities happening there, but with the kids, it's either Golden Valley Girls Softball or it's Golden Valley Little League. I'll drag them sometimes to the Chesterfield American Legion because I'm a son of the American Legion. And then there's also the Quad Communities Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, which is for Golden Valley and Robbinsdale and Crystal and New Hope.
Then I asked you, because we're always encouraging people out there to get involved, be part of what's going on. So what are some of the questions that people will come up and ask you, people from Golden Valley? What are they looking, what kind of information are they looking for?
Right, well it's, I get all sorts of questions. Lately it just happens to be, is being mayor a full-time job? And then it's, well, if it's not a full-time job, which it isn't, and I explain by state law, it's Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Duluth. Are the only full-time mayors. Everybody else, it's full-time, part-time, hopefully no time. Hopefully they put some time into it. But they'll ask, all right, then what do you do if you're not full-time? Or lately it's also been, when is Douglas Drive going to get done with all the construction? Because now that it's summertime, it's construction season. So it just really, it varies from week to week, but it's always very, people are informed or want to be informed and always reaching out, asking with questions.
Now another big project that's been going on is Douglas Drive on the road construction. Maybe give us a little history about how you got to the point where it's all torn up. Then we'll talk about where it's going next.
Well, for starters, that road has not been reconstructed in 50 years. It's long overdue. For anyone who's gone for a walk down Douglas Drive or tried to ride their bike, or like I have, I got my kids in tow in the bike trailer, it's kind of a bumpy ride. And so it's time. And what we started, the city started back in, I think it was in about 2007, 2008. Previous mayor and city council and staff started having working groups. They had they called it the Breakfast Club, where they would get together and they had a committee that looked at what could be done to redesign Douglas Drive. And so this is a joint project with Hennepin County. We actually have some federal dollars as well. And it's not cheap. It's a $23 million project. And so we are sharing some of those costs with the county. And so we are literally going from from the border of Golden Valley,
right.
Along Medicine Lake Road, all the way down the Highway 55. I mean, that is a mile plus, big significant project.
Oh yes.
And we've got we've got 2 roundabouts going in along the route, and we also have bike trails on both sides. In the street, you're going to have bike lanes, but you're also going to have a bike trail on one side and a sidewalk on the other. It's going to be a really nicely done project when it's all complete.
So what part of that area is under construction now? Because there's lots of detours and lots of signs, but
and it's constantly moving,
right,
shifting.
Right.
And so I would definitely encourage anybody, whether you're a Golden Valley resident, whether you work in the area, whether you're just driving through the area, go to our city website, or just do a Google search for Douglas Drive Construction 2017, and it will either direct you to our city website or it'll direct you to the county's website. Because right now, as we speak, I mean, this is early June,
right,
and we are basically between Duluth Street, going south on Douglas Drive to Golden Valley Road is what's currently under construction. But starting next week, we're going to close off Douglas Drive from Golden Valley Road down to the frontage road, which is further south.
Right.
That's probably an extra quarter mile, if I had to just kind of guess, right where I'm trying to think of a landmark where the tenant corporate headquarters are.
Right.
And so there's going to be new detours. But the idea is, as we keep moving south, we keep finishing items. So the segment that's closed right now, Duluth to Golden Valley Road, that should be reopened by mid-July.
So it's moving forward.
It is moving forward, and we also have a little work going along Duluth Street from Douglas Drive east within that first block, and that should be repaved and completely open within the next month.
So will this carry over to next year before it's done, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. When you do something like this, number one, you better make sure you do it right.
Oh, right, right.
So we don't want to rush through it, but it will take. We won't be done with this probably for I would say, everything's buttoned up.
Oh, right.
For another full year. I mean, in fact, if you drive down from Medicine Lake Road to Duluth Street, even though that's open, there's still one final layer of pavement, or not pavement, but blacktop that needs to go on, and it will be restriped. So, that's what I'm saying. You can tie a bow on this in about a year.
Right. So just check the website for if you're going to need to go in that area, and then you'll know what is currently open or what's currently closed.
Correct.
Now, all of our cities are working on comprehensive plans, and I know Golden Valley's been doing a lot because I've been kind of checking into your website as we're getting ready for the program. But maybe you can talk a little bit about the Met Council and what they require, and then a brief thing about what is this comprehensive plan thing that you see about in the newspapers once in a while.
Right. Well, and I appreciate you bringing it up because it really is a guiding document. Some people say, well, do you have a mission statement? Do you have a vision statement? Yes, this is it.
Right.
In a sense. I mean, this is it's a good planning document to make sure Golden Valley doesn't do something that's going to put New Hope at risk, or Crystal, or our neighbors to our south, or vice versa. It's really to make sure that we have really good coordinated plans, so that we can have productive growth and and of course maintain public safety and maintain good environmental standards. So every 10 years by state law, all the cities in the metro area have to do this comprehensive plan. And so the way I basically say to people is this is like a 10-year strategic plan.
Oh yes, definitely.
Right, so we're doing that, but of course they allow you to go out further, so we're doing basically a strategic plan emphasizing the next 10 years, but we're looking all the way out to 2040 as well. So we do call it the 2040 comp plan. So that's what we're working on.
Okay, and then Golden Valley has certain priorities that you're trying to meet as you're working on the plan, and I think there's 5 of them.
Well, right,
and you were going to let people know what they were.
I'm looking at it right here just to make sure, because I mean this is not a short document.
No,
I mean we're talking about a multi-hundred page
Many
document,
page,
where you break it down into different areas
That's why I thought we'd just talk about the priorities.
Right, exactly, with the priorities. And so what we're doing, and this is based on feedback that we've gotten from residents, but direction from city staff. And so we're focusing, we want to make sure that the plan supports the emergence of a dynamic town center, that we are showcasing Golden Valley as a green community.
Right.
We're trying to emphasize all aspects of a multimodal transportation system as we hopefully prepare for a light rail station in Golden Valley. And in general, we're just striving to be more inclusive for all people of all backgrounds to come to Golden Valley. But I would say probably our highest priority is, it's a typical city function, but it's an important city function, is our infrastructure.
Oh, yes.
And that could be our roads, that could be what's above ground, but also what's below ground in terms of our water sewer systems. So those are the goals, those are the 5 areas that we're trying to accomplish.
Now, I think Golden Valley has already done a lot of community engagement on this process, because you started in March. Maybe you can tell a little bit about some of the areas that you already got input from, because I think since March you did one on land use, one on housing, one on sustainability, and one on water resources.
That's right.
Maybe just a brief little bit about each one.
Right. Well, I'll kind of combine them all, because
That's fine.
I would say that we've had open houses, we've had some really good feedback from residents, not only at the open house, but we've also had the ability for people to chime in by the internet.
Right.
And then also we did a community survey last year. So we've been able to get some excellent feedback from residents on all those areas. And I'd say in general, I'd say there's probably been more popularity around the environment. I think housing maybe is a distant second, and then the land use would probably come in after that. And I have not seen the results yet on the water resources piece. We're still waiting on that. But I think the feedback is on the housing. People do like the diversity of housing, but they want more townhomes. Apartments, good. Single-family homes, check. We're there. But on townhomes, they want to see more of that. And that's, I think, more for senior citizens who are looking to downsize.
Right.
And the profile, the demographics do show, not just in Golden Valley, but all across Minnesota. And this is not a bad thing. I think this is a good thing. We are an aging community.
Oh, yes.
And so you have seniors who want to stay in Golden Valley but downsize.
Right.
So townhomes. On the environmental front, it's more about being sustainable. It's making sure that we are environmentally resilient. So it varies. It runs the gamut from how can we be more, how can we access and utilize more renewable energy. And some of this we've already started.
Oh, right.
Some of our city facilities already have solar panels on them. In fact, I can't remember if it's our public safety building or if it's our maintenance building, but the solar energy that we've been able to capture is basically we're running 100% on those solar panels for that particular building. So some of this we've already done, but what we're hearing from residents is keep going. And keep going further if you can.
Now, you've got some meetings that are coming up, so I thought we'd highlight them so that people in Golden Valley can maybe put them on their calendar. I've got that now the meetings for input just last like an hour and a half, right?
Correct.
From 6 to 7:30, so it's not a huge chunk of people's time, but you need people to come.
Right. And the way we structure it is you can come for the open house to get the information, absorb it, think about it, and then after that we have our planning commission, or it might be our environmental commission, depending on what the issue is, then take that testimony. And so I know you've got the dates right
so
there.
I've got some dates, and so you want people to show up here.
Yes.
And it's up at City Hall. But on July 10th, you'll be dealing with transportation, I've got. And then on August 7th, on park in your nature areas, which are important to a lot of people. And on September 11th, economic competitiveness.
That's correct.
So that those are areas, if they're ones where people think, oh yeah, I'm really interested in X, and if it's under that category, that's a place and time to show up.
Yes, please. And for some reason, if you can't come to that, That's where, again, you can go online and you can fill out the survey that is online available to give us that feedback, or simply just email us.
Sure.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Drop on by City Hall and let us know how you feel.
Right.
We'll take your comments anyway.
Okay, then to kind of culminate all of this, you're going to have a comprehensive plan update and open house on Monday, September 19th. What's going to happen at that meeting?
Well, at that point, we're going to kind of roll out, I would say, kind of a draft plan. Where we will be able, and we'll have these different sections. We'll have the transportation, we'll have land use, we'll have resiliency, we'll have
all the ones we talked about.
Exactly.
Right.
In different sections.
Okay.
And get, again, more feedback. I think at the end of this process, our hope is for people to say, come on already, you've asked us this, these questions so many times, and we've already given you the feedback. We're good.
Yeah. We like what you've got.
Exactly. So at that, it's like a puzzle. And so at the September 19th open house, I think people will be able to see those different pieces of the puzzle all come together. And what does that look like?
Oh, right.
And how do they fit together? And is it fitting the right way that we want it to? So that's what we're hoping to accomplish at that open house.
And so that, when is the comprehensive plan due to the Met Council? When do you have to have it finished?
About basically next year.
Okay.
And we're not talking January 1st, 2018.
Right.
No, we're talking
During
more like mid-year, because this is our 10 to 20 year strategic plan. We want to make sure we have it right. So
with
I wouldn't be
lots of
surprised.
input.
Yes. So there'll be more to come.
And then if people are following this process, I was just going to mention, since I was on your website, that they can get email updates on all these things that we've mentioned. Just
that is correct.
Go into your website, sign up, and then you'll be reminded when they're going to happen.
Thank you.
Yep. Now, I've been asking several people from all our different cities. Minneapolis and St. Paul have been involved in regulations on their businesses, and it's been quite a energizing area with people for and people against, and it was part of the legislative session. So I thought, well, we'll talk a little bit about what, if anything, this is rippling out to the suburban areas. So do you have any groups that are lobbying for any of these kinds of things? Because they definitely do in the cities.
Yeah, they do.
In the metro area.
I would say in certain categories we have not when it comes to, I think a lot of play has been given to banning plastic bags.
Right.
I know St. Louis Park to the south of us looked at doing that. May look at it again.
Sure.
We have not had that type of input. I think it's been more so, I think national politics has been playing more of a role where we've heard feedback from residents. There are some residents who are active with the ACLU and want to see our city become what is called a freedom city, kind of like a sanctuary city, but with a twist. And so, so I wouldn't say it's organized lobbying pressure, but it's residents who are advocating for those issues.
So that it isn't a major issue in the suburbs. You hear about it, and then moving from there, what are some of the problems you foresee, or areas that the metro cities should be looking at, from your point of view, just from your looking at it, since you're part of city government?
Well, I think transportation is and will continue to be a challenge.
Okay.
I mean, we see that literally that the ground is constantly shifting when it comes to light rail issues.
Oh, yes.
And based on what was happening up at the state capitol earlier this year, and now what's going to be happening at the county level, there's a lot and also on the federal level.
Oh, what's going to happen next?
Right.
Yeah.
We keep saying if, not when, but if there'll be a blue line extension coming through Golden Valley for light rail, because we just don't know yet because of the changing landscape on the federal level and on the state level. And that is not just a challenge for Golden Valley or for the Northwest metro area. I mean, that is the same issue I'm hearing from mayors in Woodbury or in Lakeville.
Oh, sure.
It's, or down in Eden Prairie.
Right.
It's happening everywhere. Transportation is just a significant challenge and is going to continue to be one.
And then moving back to the issue of of setting a minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on that? And cities doing it, or versus should it be statewide, or just your thoughts on it, even though you're not having to deal with it as a city issue?
It's interesting. Honestly, I mean, personally.
Right, that's just your personal reaction.
Personally, I think it's, unfortunately, there's a large segment of the population that's working poor. And we do need some minimum wage increases beyond what's already happened over the past several years. It is going to vary from city to city. We can do it from the top-down perspective, or we can do it from the bottom up. We've seen that happen on other issues. Remember, the smoking ban started as a bottom to top type of beginning, and then then finally the state jumped on board and did a statewide ban. So that one, I think the minimum wage still has ways to play out. And so we'll see what happens in Golden Valley. I think we're a different type of animal, if you will, because we have some large corporation headquartered in Golden Valley, and then we've got the small businesses. And so I think before we were to do anything, number one, our city council hasn't listed it as a goal, as an issue to tackle. We're a little preoccupied with our comp plan and our community center and all these, the housing developments going on. So we've been a little preoccupied. If we were to get to that point, then we would have to have a significant conversation with our residents, but also with our businesses to find out, is this, while it may sound good, is it going to have, part of our comprehensive plan includes economic competitiveness, and are we going to be hurting ourselves by doing that? So we just need to weigh all the options if we're going to go down that road. And so the short answer is no, we're not. We're not there.
And then the legislature. There was definitely controversy on whether the legislature should put regulations that you can't do, make choices like that. So that got to be part of the whole process too.
Yeah, there was a lot of, this legislature is, it's interesting. On one hand, some of the legislators will say, we believe in local control. Local control is very important. But, except for, banning plastic bags. The one that they used Golden Valley as an example on was housing moratorium, housing moratoria. Where they, Golden Valley and several other cities did create some 6-month studies. They did a moratorium on certain types of housing. We were looking, for us, it was about subdivisions. And it allowed us to really look at how we can make our code more updated. And so there's some legislators that didn't like that, and they tried to say, if you're going to do that again, Golden Valley or anyone else around the state, you need to have some significant notification, like a 2 to 3 week notification. And then you also need to have a 2/3 majority vote on your council to do it. But the governor didn't like that, believing in local control, and he vetoed the bill. So I think we're going to continue to see kind of this tug of war going on between the legislature and local control, probably for the next couple of years, whether it's minimum wage, plastic bags, or housing moratorium, or fill in the blank.
And in one way, it can be good for the rest of our cities, for Minneapolis and St. Paul, to try it out and see what really happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we always brag as mayors and city councils. We say that cities truly are the laboratories of democracy. And if it doesn't work, then we can change it. It's not like on the federal level where it takes 12 years to do one thing. Sometimes.
Well, and the cities have lots of things going on. So it's an issue that you're going to hear about, but it's not one that directly impinges on any of our suburban cities, I don't think, at this point in time.
No, not right now.
Now, you're doing a fire station study. What are some of the reasons that you're doing it? We'll go for the why first.
Sure. Well, the why is there are different models out there. I mean, just here alone in the Northwest metro area, you have different types of models. You've got New Hope and Crystal, for example, have the West Metro Fire District, whereas Golden Valley has their own, and they're paid on-call firefighters. They're not volunteers. Don't say that.
It's a different look.
If you say that and you ever need help from the fire department, you may not get it. They're very dedicated and residents and members of the community who work in the community who are on call, literally at a moment's notice. But the challenge that we're having with that model is that it's becoming harder and harder to sustain that type of paid on-call model. And so the purpose of the study is really to look at what kind of model do we need for the future.
Right.
Do we join up? And there has been no discussion, so I don't want to fuel any speculation here. But do we join up with the West Metro Fire District, or do we change our model from a paid-on-call model to more of a ongoing permanent skeleton crew?
Oh, right, because Brooklyn Park did something like that, right?
Exactly. Where you move away from the paid-on-call, it's more of a hybrid between the paid-on-call and a full-time fire department. So do we need to do that? So that's what the purpose of the study is in that sense. And the other part is we have 3 stations, and unfortunately, just like everything, you got a car, and that sometimes needs tune-ups, and sometimes the car you need to change it for a new car.
Oh, right.
We're looking to see whether or not it's time for a new, what we need to do to upgrade our fire stations. So that's part of the study as well. So stay tuned. That's going to be coming forward.
Now, who is doing this study?
Right. So that has been conducted. It's been led by our fire department chief, Chief Crelly, along with a consultant that we hired, working with our city managers, but also getting feedback from our firefighters. So and they've been looking. Part of the hiring the consultant has been looking at those different models. So it's and the next steps will be rolling this out to the city council, and then depending on what the council is comfortable moving forward with, there may be a necessity to have public input.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, so we shall see.
And this is just like the beginning stages of it.
Correct. Yep.
So separate from all the other things that we talked about, another area that needs looking into.
Yep.
And our cities do need to do a lot of planning for the future.
Absolutely. If we wait, it's too late. It's when someone's in need, whether it's a medical emergency or God forbid their house is on fire. They don't care who shows up as long as somebody shows up
quickly.
Yeah, quickly.
Right.
So we need to make sure that we are there and that we continue to have those agreements with our surrounding neighbors. So that we can support each other when there's a crisis.
Sure. Now, do you have a timeline for when you're hoping to gather more information on it?
I think the study is going to be complete this year.
Okay.
It will be done by this year, and then steps going forward would probably happen toward the end of the year.
Yeah, to be determined.
Correct.
Right? Based on what you find.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I thought this would be a good time too, where you can make a plea, because you still need people.
We sure do. We sure do.
Maybe you can tell people how they can find out about it.
That's right. Well, I always say the fallback is go online, go to our city, website. But we do, and so it's a pretty, I would say, a pretty arduous type of process to go through to become a firefighter. There's a written test. Some math, from what I've been told. Some math is involved in it as well. It's not like it's not just all physical, but there's that aspect to it as well. And once you get past those stages, then really the first 3 years you are kind of like an assistant firefighter to make sure it works out.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time and your ideas and your experience with our audience out there. We'll encourage you to tune in next week for part 2 of Golden Valley's Issues. We're glad that you've been with us, and hope you'll join us again next week. Bye.